Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just sitting here thinking about some of the things that kind of really just transpired over life. And you know what? Some of us have a lot to be grateful for. There's so many things that have went well for some people out there. Some things that have happened over time to where things just worked out or your efforts ended up getting to the point to where even this year or maybe sometimes throughout life, you can sit there and really reflect on some of the trends that have transpired over time that lead you to be in the position that you are today. And, not to say all those roads and paths that you had to walk along that journey were easy or lacked challenges. They did, more than likely. While when it was all said and done, you find yourself possibly where you are today, or maybe in some cases for some of you, seeing the road ahead to where the possibilities are there. They are maybe within your grasp, so to speak. You know what I mean? And when you go through that journey, when you really take the time to really reflect on all that, you can pinpoint some definite hardships that you have possibly overcome. And for everyone out there, they have their own definition, their own experiences, their own journey as far as what hardships have meant for them. The one thing I also want to express when it comes to talking about hardships is that your hardships don't have to be significant to someone else in order for them to be significant to you, in order for them to have their relative and respective importance. Hardships do not need to be the worst of the situations that someone could experience for them to be significant. When you are expressing yourself, when you are sharing things with others, and maybe you're trying to do it in a helpful way or just kind of trying to add context to what your journey has entailed, sometimes you get those responses of empathy, sympathy, inspiration, even in some cases. We see a lot of that with a lot of the motivational speakers that are out here today. And, they tie a lot of what they are trying to inspire people to learn from them based off of some of the hardships that they have overcome in life. Pretty normal, right? And when we look at all that, we could always say in any situation, for those that tend to do this, yes, there's a harder experience out there that could have been had, that some people are dealing with. And that's quite true. There are some people that are dealing with harder things. But that isn't always the helpful way to go about expressing things in a conversation with someone who is honestly, in some ways, pouring themselves out to you, or just trying to have a conversation where a genuine connection is attempted to be made. And sometimes that attempt to have that genuine connection doesn't really land on the other person very well. But we have to stop, in some cases, for those that do this, tying what someone is expressing to you to something of greater significance in your mind, because they're being vulnerable with you. And if in that moment of vulnerability, you tie it to something to almost kind of diminish what they are trying to express to you, that's not a healthy interaction. Now, in some cases, right, you could be doing that to prove a point if it is a trend to somebody that commonly do that, because that may be a growing tendency that they don't happen to learn from their previous experiences. That's a case-by-case basis situation. But too often I've noticed it to where when certain people are trying to have those initial interactions with a person, and they're taking that first attempt to try to be vulnerable with a person, it slingshots back to them because someone's trying to compare it and, again, possibly diminish it from the point of view as far as this is what that person's going through. We have to have a listening and caring and kind heart if we really want to make true, genuine connections with other people. It's important. Now, it doesn't replace the moments to where we need to give somebody tough love at times. You do need to give people tough love, but the way you do it says a lot. You know, I'll give tough love to somebody, but I'll also make sure, and for some other people that I've noticed that do this as well, they'll make sure that that connection, that tough love, is something that connects with them. And they just don't approach tough love in a blanket way towards everybody, because life is hard out there for a lot of y'all. Sometimes it ebbs and flows. Sometimes, just like we're in the midst of a holiday season right now, as far as a lot of people in the United States of America, these times can be joyous for some people. They can be difficult for others. There may be hardships that a person has dealt with far in the past that's still unresolved today, that people are still working through based off of the magnitude of whatever the hardships represent. Sometimes, honestly, for some of you out there, brothers and sisters, that hardship may cause you a lot of anxiety, stress, and the simple thing of just getting out of bed, maybe even today, is a hard thing for some of you to do. And I just want to let you know, in those moments, there is someone out there for you that cares consistently. No matter what day you were in, no matter whether you're in your high, you're in your low, you're in a situation where you're just spiraling, God is there for you. Now, when I say God is there for you, He's not going to be there for you necessarily in the way that you always want. He's going to be there for you in the way that you need. And you need to take time to explore that relationship, to make sure that you are growing closer to the awareness of what that means. And that means studying in the Word, staying consistent in prayer, doing the things that are in the Word to make sure that your connection between you and God are growing, and definitely doing it in a way to where the distance between you and Him is less and less as you take that journey. It's not an easy journey to take, because that journey calls for you to have to deal with yourself and to make sure that you are doing what you can to resolving those issues, surrounding yourself with people who are supporting you along in that journey, and making sure that when you are out there fellowshipping, exemplifying, and living a life that honors and glorifies Him, that continues to gain meaning with what you are supposed to be doing in life. There are some out there that focus on being the difference that's needed. And the thing when it comes to being the difference that's needed, when it comes to supporting people in hardships especially, it goes back to my earlier point. You have to understand the need and the help that is going to be most significant to that person. And sometimes we have to go through a journey to where we have to overcome ourselves and make sure that we are understanding our circumstances and the effects that they've had on our lives. Again, we all deal with hardships. With God, something being hard, the journey that you're taking and the things that you see in front of you, regardless of the times that we're in, and what's going on in the world, what's going on in your close circle, what's going on at work, what's going on at school, what's going on in the home. Now, while nothing may be impossible, not everything that you pursue, not everything that you think, not everything that you would like for God to do in your life is what glorifies your path as far as following in the steps of walking a life that is pleasing to Him. So you have to make sure you're navigating that right. You got to make sure that you are pursuing that with a heart after God and not a heart after the world. It's going to be a decision to shift from what you go through, what you experience, to what you grow through. And somebody I work with definitely mentioned that to me one day, and that's in loose conversation, and it was something that really grabbed my ear, because it's true. What you go through to what you grow through. And it's something for us all to take into ourselves to be personally accountable for, because your hardships are going to follow you no matter where you go, no matter what environment that you change over to. If you don't face them, if you don't find an opportunity to grow for them. Some of the hardships, whether you're sitting down, whether you're laying down, whether you're walking, whether you're in a car like me right now, they are hard to process. But I encourage you, lean again on your word. Stay consistent in your prayer. I could think back to many hardships that I've gone through, many hardships that I've witnessed other people go through. And there's a point in time where you come to realize the main thing that will sustain you will be the main thing that will be consistent to you. And that is God in your life. The truth of it is, people come and people go. Some will be in your life for a season, some will be in your life for a long time, but that's usually a rarity for the people that will be in there for a long time. But the one thing that doesn't ever change in your life, if you allow it, is God in your life. So that's something to build on. We talk about sometimes building our foundation and making sure it's as strong as possible. Well, strength is what is most present, what is built upon the right things. And the right thing is always God. I want to point out in Luke 18:27, a verse, very, very simple, very, very short. So I'm just going to read it real quick. And it mentions, and he said, the things which are impossible with men are possible with God. Straight to the point. Now, you also, again, as I mentioned earlier, need to have a heart after God. Now, when it comes to all these hardships that some of you are dealing with, I'm praying for you. My heart is with you. And the things that you go through when it comes to what it is defined as hardships to you, they're real as far as what it means to you. And for those out there that are hearing someone express their hardships to them, turn up that empathy. Turn up that willingness to step outside of yourself and hear them for what they are. Don't always associate the things that you heard that are commonalities from hardships that are relevant to you, from what you have captured from instances that are being brought up in hardships, to that person, unless if it's a healthy way of doing it. And the only way you're going to know that is by really truly listening to what the person is saying. We got to be there for each other. And being there for each other is not a checked box. Being there for each other is really reaching into one another. Time is hard to come by. But when that time is there for you to really fellowship with someone, that's an important and sometimes a vital interaction. Maybe not for you, but it could be for them. And that could be a transformational moment that if we don't capture, if we don't allow to mature, allow to be safe for the person, that could be a moment that's missed. And you may not own every bit of the responsibility in that. The other person has a responsibility in that. But in that moment, operate with grace. Because this may be hard for the person, and they just need to get it out. Listen, love and care. God bless.